All right, for my vocabulary assessment, I chose word maps. And for my teaching strategy, I chose word walls. There are 4 types of vocabulary to be learned: listening vocabulary, speaking vocabulary, reading vocabulary, and writing vocabulary. And these are learned through an effective classroom and teaching strategies done by teacher. Children also learn vocabulary through conversations with their parents and vocabulary words through their parents. Levels of vocabulary learning. There are 3 tiers. In here I have the levels of vocabulary learned are there are frequent basic words in vocabulary in language. There are high frequent words in adult language, and low frequent words, which are scientific terms or mathematical terms. And some examples that the book gives are sea urchin, what else? The economy, so that's a social studies term, and integer, which is in mathematical vocabulary. Explicit and direct instruction is absolutely necessary for students to learn vocabulary. Yeah, they learn it through conversations at home, or vocabulary words at home, but it's also necessary to teach vocabulary. And they learn it through conversations with adults, listening to stories, reading books. And from what I'm going to be discussing in the future, they learn it through lessons in the classroom. Teachers can offer this explicit instruction by introducing words prior to learning certain things in the classroom, and they can introduce multiple meanings for words, which will be explained. Introduce specific vocabulary words and review over time. So it's not just a once and done thing. You're going to learn these words over time. Skills learned are looking for context clues in reading and analyzing word parts to figure out definitions on their own when they are reading on their own. The word map assessment method that I chose is developmentally appropriate for ages 7 through 16, and I was choosing to focus on first grade, typically age 7. The standards for the word map assessment, I didn't type out the description, but these are the standards that this word map assessment meets. So it meets 5 standards. That's good. So you're questioning probably, what is a word map? And it's a graphic organizer, which we've been focusing a lot on in the classroom in our class. And I like organizing things through graphic organizers because it organizes your thoughts into a picture. And the word map is a graphic organizer that organizes the word and their relationships. And what does it look like? This is the example that the book gives you. The word, what it means, and 3 examples of what it's like, and then 3 examples down here. And then I got some resources and for what other word maps look like. This is one that I liked, where they had the vocabulary word in the middle, and then they had some synonyms, draw a picture, and this is good for 7-year-olds to figure out vocabulary words. They can draw a picture, they can write words, synonyms for the word, define in your own terms. So you could have the definition and then define it in your own words, and then use it in a sentence. So I thought this word map was developmentally appropriate for that age. Madison, you're 8, you're 9. Would you say that this is good for first grade?
Yeah.
Would you be able to do that in first grade?
Yeah.
Yes. And this is another word map. I have citations at the end, so I didn't just steal this, but I did. This is a word map worksheet, and like I said, I have where I got it from at the end of the slideshow. I liked this because it was more of a visual and it has cool pictures. You put the word in the jar. What part of speech is it? Use the word in a sentence, the definition of the word. So you can write just the literal definition of the word, or you can write it in your own terms. Draw a picture and then the synonym for that word. And I like this because it's a friendly picture. And then here's another word map that I took from another resource. And it's more of like the word map format. The word and the part of speech, the definition, examples, which is a sentence. And then you can copy it from the text. Vocabulary word, just for a more formal thing, and then this is in your own words. 2 antonyms, which I thought was cool. What's the opposite of the word? What is the word not? And then 2 synonyms. This is more extensive. I'm sure first graders can do it, but finding 2 synonyms might take a little bit more research. What is the purpose of the assessment? And the purpose of word maps is to create a simple way to understand the word through a visual, which I learned better visually, so I like these word maps. The word maps answer 3 questions about a word. And so the question, what is it? I took into my own consideration and thought that's defining the word. What is it like? And I think those are the representations. And the examples, I think are synonyms. So when I first looked at the word map assessment, and I got a little bit confused from the example in the book. That's the example in the book. It's kind of like, okay, what are examples? What do you mean? What is it like? And that's why I took some other things into consideration and kind of looked further into resources and created my own word map, and I looked at other word maps and tried to make something similar. And so what do you need for this assessment? Your materials are a vocabulary word list. What are your words? Word map worksheets, which that's the one I like the best. And then you need a summary sheet, a checklist. So say you have the term statue. What is a statue? And then you have the list. I just did random names. Picked random names of my kids in my class. And then was Ryan able to say what it is? Was George able to say what it is like? And this is just a checklist, so you just check it off. Did they do the example? Was it correct? The procedure is to introduce vocabulary words relevant to the lessons you are teaching and subjects in the classroom, and you're to do this prior. Explain the goals to the children. Why are they doing this? Provide examples of completed word maps. That way they know what they're doing. Hand out the word maps, 1 sheet per kid per word. And once the word map or word maps are completed, collect and complete the word map summary sheet. So you're going to go back to that summary sheet. Here's the example in the book. And then you're just going to check it off. Was the child able to do or meet those skills? And then the teaching strategies to go along with the word maps is create word walls. First, you need vocabulary words, right? So to increase vocabulary development, we can create word walls. And these meet the standards in literacy. And it is developmentally appropriate. You can do vocabulary words from ages 5 all the way up to 17, depending on the vocabulary words that are developmentally appropriate. The purpose of this is for word identification, decode, and word recognition, the meanings of words. And so for a word wall, you need to create a word wall, you can do a pocket chart. And this is an example of something that I found on the internet. It's another resource that I have cited. The pocket chart is cool because you can get an index card, write the vocabulary word on, and maybe the definition on the back, and just slide it into those little pockets. You can do an easel word wall. You can do a blank section of the classroom, or you can do a word wall on a bulletin board. You will need index cards, black markers, the vocabulary words, and you want text that relates to the words that you're teaching. The procedure for this teaching strategy would be choose words for a word wall, and like I said, have supportive resources that relate to these words. You can group the students into small groups with that supportive literature, that text. Ask them to identify 3 to 5 words that they know that are familiar to them, or some words that are unknown, something that they would like to learn about. Ask them to write these words down on a sheet of paper to share with the class later. Allow each group to share their findings of the words, and now you're gonna ask what words should go on our word wall. And the most importantly, you're gonna find that some groups found common words, and those common words should go on the wall because that's something all the students have in common in the classroom. And then this is just an example of a word wall. It's about science, so they found some science terms, and that's another resource that I had, and that's it. Just to show that I cited everything, we'll start with this one. That's my resource. That's another resource picture that I have. I cited the book on every slide because it came from the book. What else? This was another citation. That's another citation for that picture. And this was from something that I found online, this word map, and that is it. And like I said, I have the book on every slide.